The psychic's hands trembled as she reached for the photograph. Her breath caught in her throat, and the calmness in her face disappeared in an instant. Her eyes widened, filled with a mix of awe and unease, as if she had just seen something beyond this world. Her lips moved silently, trying to make sense of the energy radiating from the image she held. The man sitting across from her noticed the sudden change in her demeanor. This was not the reaction he had expected. His curiosity quickly turned into nervous anticipation. What was she seeing? What was she about to say? Slowly, she placed the photograph on the table, as though it carried a weight far greater than what it appeared to be. Her voice, barely above a whisper, broke the silence. The person in this picture. They are not ordinary. They carry something profound, something that can touch the deepest parts of a person's soul. Her words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. The man leaned forward, desperate to understand. "What do you mean?" he asked. The psychic explained that this individual had a rare ability, something beyond logic or science. They brought hidden truths to light, unearthed buried pain, and even awakened forgotten joy. It wasn't something they did intentionally, it was simply a part of who they were. People like this don't just walk into your life by accident, she continued, her voice steady but somber. Their presence means change, and change is never easy. A chill ran down the man's spine. The psychic's words stirred something deep within him, something he hadn't been able to name but had always felt. He thought about the person in the photograph and how they had made him feel both comforted and unsettled at the same time. He had always sensed something different about them, but he had never fully understood what it was. The psychic leaned in closer, her expression grave. "You need to understand this person's presence in your life is not a coincidence. The universe doesn't work that way. You are connected to them in ways you can't even begin to imagine." The man felt a mix of awe and fear. What did this connection mean for him? What would it require of him? She hesitated before continuing. Transformation is rarely gentle. It will test you, push you, and make you face things you've avoided for too long. But it will also set you free if you are willing to embrace it. Her voice softened as she added, "You have a choice. You can ignore this and carry on as you are, or you can step into the unknown and see where it leads." A knot formed in his stomach. Was he ready for transformation, for the uncertainty and vulnerability it might bring? And yet, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was something he was meant to face. As their session ended, the psychic looked at him with unexpected kindness. "Whatever happens, remember this: the choice is yours. The path ahead may not be clear, but trust that it is meant for you." Her final words stayed with him long after he left. He walked through the streets, the photograph still in his hand, and felt an unease that wasn't entirely unpleasant. It wasn't fear, it was something deeper, like the opening of a door he hadn't even known existed. For the first time, he allowed himself to reflect on the person in the picture. Their presence in his life had always carried a strange familiarity. He thought back to the moments they had shared, moments that once seemed ordinary but now felt layered with meaning. There was something about the way they listened, their unwavering gaze, as if they saw parts of him even he had never acknowledged. It wasn't just their words or their actions, it was their energy, the way they made him feel at ease and unsettled all at once. Had they been shaping his life all along, in ways he hadn't noticed? The realization left him breathless. He replayed past conversations and fleeting moments in his mind, searching for clues he might have missed. Each memory now carried a new significance, as if he were seeing it through a different lens. A storm of emotions brewed within him: fear, wonder, and an overwhelming sense of curiosity. What did it all mean? Why had the universe brought this person into his life? And most importantly, what was he supposed to do with this knowledge? He realized he had a choice: to dismiss everything as coincidence and return to the life he knew, or to lean into the mystery and discover where it led. The thought terrified him. He had always found comfort in certainty, in routine. But as he stared at the photograph, he felt something shift within him. This connection felt too significant to ignore. If the psychic was right, if this person truly had the power to transform him, then he owed it to himself to find out. For the first time in years, he felt a spark of excitement, as though he were waking up from a long slumber. The unknown was no less terrifying, but it no longer felt like something to fear. Instead, it felt like an invitation, one that he was finally ready to accept. That night, as he placed the photograph on his bedside table, he whispered a silent promise to himself: he would follow this connection, wherever it led. He didn't know what lay ahead, but he was ready to embrace it. In the days that followed, he found himself thinking more and more about the connection. The psychic's words had planted a seed of awareness that grew with each passing moment. He started to see this person not just as someone in his life, but as a catalyst for change. He noticed subtle shifts within himself. Buried memories surfaced, both joyful and painful, as if they were pieces of a puzzle he was finally ready to solve. He realized that for years, he had built walls to protect himself from vulnerability, from pain, and even from love. Yet, this person had bypassed those walls effortlessly, shining a light on parts of him he had kept hidden. It wasn't always comfortable, but it was undeniably powerful. He began to see the connection as something sacred, something that was meant to shape him. He wasn't just receiving from it, he was giving to it as well. He had played a role in their journey, just as they had in his. Despite the fear, he found himself grateful. This connection was a gift, even if it came with challenges. It forced him to confront his own truths, to grow, to evolve. It was a mirror, reflecting his strengths and his weaknesses, his hopes and his fears. For the first time, he felt ready to embrace the connection for what it was, a force of transformation, growth, and profound meaning. The journey ahead was uncertain, but he no longer needed all the answers. He understood now that it wasn't about knowing, it was about trusting. Trusting that the universe had brought this person into his life for a reason. Trusting that the path, though unclear, was the right one. And with that trust, he stepped forward into the unknown, into the transformation, into the life he was meant to live.